Welcome back. A deadly fire in Hout Bay back in October killed 2 people. It left about 90 people homeless. Now, those residents were taken to a community hall. Sadly, 6 families are still there and they have nowhere else to go. Now, Cape Town Mayor Dan Plato has visited the hall and he's promised alternative accommodation. eNCA's Athi Mthongana is in Hout Bay for the latest on the story. She joins us now live. Athi, the story of Hout Bay, I mean, we've seen it unfolding so many times. There have been fire after fire in the same area. People have been displaced. There have been promises of housing for several months, if not years. Tell us what's different about Dan Plato's promises this time.
Well, we are going to be hearing from the new mayor, Dan Plato, soon enough, Michelle. They will be in Pineland with the Premier of the Western Cape, Helen Zille, as well as the MEC for Human Settlements, Bonginkosi Matikizela. There's an event that they are attending there, and we're hoping to get them to respond to what plans they have for such families like these families here at this particular community hall in Hamburg. There's 7 families that are linked to the fire that broke out last year on the 19th of October, which ended up killing 2 people and displaced several people. We just came now from Luyolo Hall in Guguletu, where you have a similar situation where residents who occupied a piece of land illegally, backyarders to be specific, were also housed in a community hall during the festive season, during the period season, the holiday season rather, similarly to these ones here in Hout Bay in Hamburg. Now I'm just going to walk with my colleague Mario Pedro to show you the conditions in which these residents live in. And what is interesting about these residents here at this particular community hall is how they've turned their plight into something that they can at least call home. So these people here have managed to at least extend and make makeshift beds for their loved ones. These beds are basically for 3 young people who are right now at school. Previously, when we came to visit this community hall, Michelle, the gentleman right there used to sleep with all 3 of his daughters together with his wife. And I'm going to ask him to come closer and tell us about how he made those makeshift beds. And we're seeing that it's becoming more home, like a home inside this hall.
No, we just made it with some board and some chairs, and now make a bed like so that it can look like a bed for our kids and stuff. Yeah, but the life inside of the hall is fine. We are like one family, but it's just some nitty-gritty stuff, like when the kids are picking up some stuff, but we work that out when we are on our own, in our own house.
Thank you so much. Now, there's been various meetings, Michelle, between the leaders of this community as well as the residents and obviously authorities and councillors that are in charge of this particular DA-led ward. And they have been telling us that these residents have been asked by the city of Cape Town to relocate temporarily so that, you know, they could fix a permanent housing plan for them. But you have residents here who are saying that they are not going anywhere if they're going to go occupy shacks at the same time. So now I'm just going to try and find another resident who also made a makeshift house, in this hall. You're trying to make it home here. And I was just saying to Michelle how you, as these residents, these fire victims, were saying to me that you're refusing to go back and occupy shacks, and you're saying that you want 4 more houses because that's what you were told by the city to temporarily move back to shacks, and you're saying you don't want to find yourself in a similar situation.
Yes, because at the end of the day, it's a shack. I burned out in a shack. I must go back in the shack. But if they can build a new tech house for temporary, as they say, but actually my whole heart is I want a whole house. Because how can I accommodate myself in a shack again? That's why I created this little space of mine into a home. I made it like I feel so home. I don't want to go back anywhere because I feel quite at easier. Because out of a worse situation, I made a good situation. I went to go pick anything that made my home a humble home and a beautiful home. So, yeah, even if it takes 100 years for me to get a house, I'm going to stay right here and wait for my house. I've got patience now more than ever because I'm at home.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, a resident here just highlighting some of her concerns, particularly about the fact that she won't be willing to move back into a shack, because these shack fires happen every single year, Michelle, and she doesn't want to find herself in a situation where she goes back again to occupy a shack and then another fire breaks out and then they come back to a community hall where they wait for a permanent housing plan. There's a huge housing backlog in the province as we speak, and we are going to deal with that when we speak to the mayor later on, as well as the MEC for housing in this province. Back to you, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. Some pressing questions for the administration in the Western Cape there. Athi Mthongana, live to us in Hout Bay.